This video is brought to you in part by my daughter Clara, whose idea was to film this video because I was running out of ideas, which doesn't happen very often because the bookish content usually rambles around in my head on a 24-hour-a-day basis. Hey BookTube, it's Kim at Middle of the Bookmarch, and today's video is me showing you my beloved old books, along with all the other books that I have in my house, these, and more. I love old books. I love collecting old books, and for the most part, I like to collect very old copies of books that I've already read because I love the look of antique books. There are some that I'm going to show you that I haven't read yet. I believe I've probably got maybe a 60-40 split. 60% of these I've read already in other forms, and 40 I have not, but will. So let me show you what I have. And my caveat is I still have more at my former home, which is now my ex-husband's home, but he still has them in a bookshelf in case I want them. I do have a slip-covered set of Charles Dickens books. He may keep those, I'm not sure, but I do have more over there. It's not like I'm going to drive you over there and take a look at them, but I do have more, and I'm not sure if I'm going to bring them back. I'd have to make more physical space. So let me get going. I wanted to show you some of my treasured, really old books, and let me start with the obvious, George Eliot. I have an entire bookshelf dedicated to Eliot, whether it's her novels or her biographies or books about her. I have books in I have the same titles in different copies. I did pare those down when I moved, but I have a pretty good sized section of nonfiction. I have several biographies. I have several copies of Middlemarch, and I have all of her regular novels in paperback, a lot of Penguins, Oxford University Press, and then I have these really old ones. But first, let me show you this set. This is a set of George Eliot's Life, volumes 1 through 3, and this is edited by J.W. Cross. John Cross was Eliot's only legal husband. She married him when she was 60 and he was 40, and he was actually a financial / legal advisor to the Eliot family. She lived with George Lewis for 25-30 years, and they never were legally married because he was already married with children and he could not get divorced. But Eliot and Lewis lived together for that long. They treated each other like husband and wife. They referred to each other as husband and wife. But it was after Lewis's death that Eliot married Cross, and it lasted less than a year before her death. So this is a 3-volume set of her life by her legal husband, and these books are so old that I can't find a copyright on these volumes. But each one, they were published by Harper & Brothers, New York. But I wanted to show you the illustrations in the front of every book. Now these are, I don't know how well you can see this. There's a gold foil type of Eliot's signature. On the back is a stamp. I think you can sort of see it. There it is. It's the stamp of the publisher's monogram. Is that what you call it? But let me show you the pictures. In volume 1, here is the front picture that introduces us to George Eliot. And this is a picture of her, of which I have a very large print on my wall, and it's this illustration of her. In volume 2, the illustration changes, and the pages are so old, it's really difficult. It's difficult to turn because I don't want to rip anything or ruin anything, but it's got that really tissuey paper right here, and there's another illustration of her. This is a likeness of her at 30. Yeah, I don't know if you can see the writing there.
Oh, yeah.
And then one more. This is volume 3. And let me see. This is her house in Cheyne Walk in Chelsea. That's an illustration of one of their homes in London. Chelsea, is that part of London? I think it is. But these are books that I treasure. And I have to be honest with you, one of the best places to buy books like this, aside from antiquarian bookstores, of which there are very few around me, the one that I loved shut down over the summer or a few months ago, but the place where I found a lot of these Eliot books is Etsy. Etsy is an internet conglomeration of, again, the ambiance video has ads in it. The Etsy stores are independent stores that many of them sell old antique things, old books like this. They also sell a lot. There's a few vendors who sell Folio Society books. Those are those really pretty, well-made, slip-covered books. So let me keep going with George Eliot. I have all of her novels in antique form. This is one of my favorites. This is my second favorite Eliot book, but it's one of my favorites in these old copies. This is Daniel Deronda, but look at the beauty of this book. That's the spine. Here's the front. George Eliot's works. I just absolutely love the stamping on this book. And this one has, on the very front blank page, somebody wrote their name in the book, and it's J.R. Loper, Christmas, 1882. 1882. And that's handwritten in there. And this book was published in 1881. And I lied to you. This is not Daniel Deronda. This is Adam Bede. It was right on the spine. This is Adam Bede, which is her first novel by George Eliot. And I don't know if there's any pictures in this one, but I love Adam Bede too. This was her first novel. I did not read her books in published chronological order, but that's Adam Bede, and it's just a beautiful object, absolutely beautiful in this really emerald green. So let me go, let's see, what's next? This one is a very small copy, and I don't know how it's this small because this is one of her longer books. This is Mill on the Floss, and it's this tiny little thing, and it's plain green, but there's the spine. And I love the gold, but again, it's this green and it has green edges, but look at the title page. Let me show you this. It is so pretty. It is just so pretty. And I think this also has illustrations. I can't find any within. No, I don't think it does, but I absolutely love this little book. It's just precious. Let me see the next one. What's this one? I'll save that one for last. Now this one is a different version, but I've been on the lookout for her complete works in the green, those emerald green volumes. But this one is another really beautiful book. This is the first book she came out with. It's Scenes of Clerical Life, and it's this brown Arundel edition volume, if you can see that. This is all stamped. It's beautiful. Floral design right there. And it has stamping on the back right there. And I just love these. This one has handwriting in it as well, but no date on it. Oh, here we go. Del Pierce, June 1890. I don't know if you can see that. When I get one of these books, and I see handwriting in the front, it feels like I've hit the jackpot. Here's an illustration. I treasure these antique George Eliot books. And let's see. Here's another one in the emerald green. This is Felix Holt. And it's an identical volume to Adam Bede, and I would love to know if her entire set of books is in this format, because it's just gorgeous. This is interesting because Felix Holt is not a real chunky book, but this one is. I don't know how that works. Let's see, next. And here we go with my second favorite George Eliot book. This is Daniel Deronda. Again, a different format, still in that green color. There we go, that's a better view of it. There's the spine. They're so beautiful. This one has these floral end papers, and it has Miss Winifred Alvather from Washington, D.C. This was her book. This particular book was published in 1884. And I can't get over myself. I absolutely love my set of antique George Eliots. And this is what I wanted to show you this. This is a card. When I ordered from this Etsy shop, I got this card with my name on it, Kimberly, and this little cat. And I opened it up, and it has a little cat stamp on it. And they wrote, "Dear Kimberly, thank you for your purchase of Mill on the Floss and for helping our small business. You support us staying afloat in grad school. Your support helps us stay." I can't read it very well because of the handwriting. "This is a very special, beautiful book, and we hope it brings you joy. Velvet Lane Booksellers." So it's handwritten. I just thought that was the sweetest thing. So I kept this card, and this came with Mill on the Floss. And all of these books, when I ordered them from Etsy, each one was wrapped. Many of them were gift wrapped with ribbon and just beautifully done. And I was so thrilled to receive them. Now, this one is the plainest of them all, but there's not a lot, I shouldn't say this, but there's not a lot special about the physicality of this volume, but it is my favorite. This is Middlemarch, and it's just a plain brown book, brown volume. This has Alta M. Bailey written in the front. That's the owner of this book. And I don't think there is a publication date for this volume. This is when Dorothea was in Rome on her honeymoon, and she meets Naumann. Let's see. No, I don't see a publication date in here. But it's in actually really good condition, so it would be easy to read this version of Middlemarch. And the last one, this is funny, and I have talked about this on my channel before, but for anybody who's new, I'll tell you this story again. This one is, I got another card and see if, yeah. This is, let's see. Yep, this is another handwritten one. I'll get to that in a second. This is Romola, and it's a kind of a slim volume, and it has this stamp on it. It's not like as beautiful as the other books. It's quite old. The pages are very yellowed, and the font is tiny. This would not be a format that I could read. But let me see here. This volume was published in 1869. And it has, I can't read the person's name, but it's in handwriting with their name right on it. And I'm trying to find the page. Here we go. When I got this, I thought I was going to die because I opened the book and let me see, yeah. And I found this it was right after the title page. I found this. It's almost like a letter. And the signature on it, I don't know if you can see that, is George Eliot. Dated London, May 20th, 1869. That's when Middlemarch was published. And this says, this is a letter to, I can't read that, Osgood. Dear Sir, so this is a publisher. You're very difficult to read. Your intimation that my friends in America will welcome a new uniform edition of my novels with the latest corrections is very gratifying to me. Some of the most intelligent and generous sympathy I have received has come to me from your side of the Atlantic. Oh gosh, this has given me a belief in my public here, which is a precious source of encouragement. I have also good reasons, not probably peculiar, left among the, I can't read the rest because of the handwriting. But it says, I remain, dear sirs, yours faithfully, George Eliot. And so when I read that page, I was blown away, and I immediately thought, oh my God, do I have an original George Eliot letter in handwriting? Is that really her handwriting? And I actually corresponded with Steve Donahue, and I said, you have to tell me if this is real. And I said, it has her writing in it. I don't know if she actually had her hands on this book, if she wrote in this book. And he said, I don't believe so. I think it's a stamp of a letter that they would have put in all of these editions. And I took that, and I also corresponded with Jason in Ireland, who is an antiquarian bookseller who was on YouTube but is no longer. But when I'm looking at this physical book, that's the letter. And on this side of the book, on the paper, it's kind of like the reverse of that writing. So I want to believe that this is her handwriting in ink that kind of reversed itself on the opposite page. I don't know if that's true or not. I really want to believe it. But oh well, I still love the book. It's one of my favorite physical possessions that I own. So that's my collection of my old George Eliot novels and books. I have a lot more old books that I wanted to show you. Let me show you this one. This is another one that I've had on my shelf since childhood, and I've talked about this before. This is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and this is the book that when I was sick as a child, I would read this book cover to cover, almost every time I was sick. It doesn't have, this one, it's copyrighted 1946 for this one. But this has those crazy illustrations, kind of the original illustrations. There's Clara over to my right. And this was a absolute joy to read when I was a kid, even if I was sick in bed. But I have to say, this is my second copy of this. I used to have this exact volume as a child, and somehow as I got older, lost it. And then I was in an old bookstore and came across this, almost started to cry, and bought it immediately, I think for $3 or something crazy like that. And will not let this go, because this was just a treasured book as a kid and will always have that. My parents gave me this, and it's not an old book, but I've had this since childhood, like young childhood. This is Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There, but it's in kind of like this red, it looks like almost like a Franklin Mint, but it's falling apart. The spine broke a long time ago. It's not a Franklin Mint, I'm not sure. This is Avenel Books, a division of Crown Publishers, but that one I've had since childhood. And this one, this is another one of Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. There's the front. And it's another old copy with color illustrations in there. And it's just absolutely lovely. I love those books. These, Clara brought these out for me. I've got Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was another beloved book I read when I was a kid repeatedly. And this one also has illustrations throughout, black and white illustrations. And Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, I believe, also has, yes it does, has illustrations throughout the book. And it's just, these were, I mean, I've been a reader since I was a young child, and these are just my favorite things in the world, really. My favorite possessions. So let's keep going. I have a huge pile here, but again, this might be yet another long midweek video. This one is Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell. I absolutely love this book. It has the stamp on it in gold foil. It's falling apart quite a bit in the corner. I might be able to glue that and repair it. I don't know how old this volume is, but this one has the color illustration right on the other side of the title page. by Mrs. Gaskell. This is published by Frederick A. Stokes Company, and it doesn't have the year, but I love Cranford. If anybody, this has illustrations, black and white illustrations in it as well. But I absolutely love this novel. This was the first Elizabeth Gaskell. I haven't read any more yet, even though I have several of her other novels on my shelf. One of my favorite, if not my favorite, American classics, this is not that old of a book, but it is an old book, is The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. And so a lot of these books, especially this one, I suspect probably had a dust jacket at one point. But this is the naked hardback with the illustration of the Jode family. This is published by Viking Press. This particular volume was published in 1939. This is, I think, maybe, if not my favorite American classic. It's in the top 3. But I have The Grapes of Wrath in several different versions, and I just finished rereading that this year. This one is a little dusty. The Forsyte Saga by John Galsworthy. And this I got slipcovered from an old bookshop. It was already being sold like that. And this is the whole saga. I believe this is made up of 3 full-length novels. And there is John Galsworthy right there. Photograph of him. Yeah. I gotta clean my bookshelves more often. Yeah, it's in great shape though, and I have not read this one yet, but when I get to, this is actually in good enough shape to read. Let's see, what more do I have? I have this one. Again, this was slipcovered by the old bookshop that I bought it in. And this is not, let me see, it's not too old of an edition. This was published in 1950. This is Dombey and Son by Charles Dickens. And I have it in this great illustrated classics Titan edition. And there's Dickens on the other side of the title page. And I love that this one does it. This is Titan Editions, and Modern Library Classics does it. They put a list of the author's books on the back of the dust jacket. And I really like that. Let's see, what else can I show you? These books, let's see, this one and possibly this one. No, I know who, yes, that one. These 2 books I found in an old bookshop, and I had heard of these 2 female authors, but am not quite sure what these books are about or how they're written. But the first one is Mary Roberts Reinhardt, The Man in Lower 10, The Works of Mary Roberts Reinhardt. And it's, again, one of these in this emerald green old edition. And this one, copyright 1909. And the font is really big, so maybe it's in good enough shape to read this version. And I don't know what it's about, but I had heard her name on BookTube, and I found this and thought it's a really good addition to my library. This one is Angela Thirkell. Again, another slip-covered old volume with the roses on it. And this is published in 1939 by Knopf. This one has a summary on it. Let's see. No, this is actually just a blurb. William Lyon Phelps, and I'm not sure who that is. I regard Angela Thirkell as one of the cleverest and most entertaining writers of fiction in contemporary literature. So that would be really fun to read. Yeah. Don't even know what it's about, but I really was drawn to that book. This one is Great Illustrated Classics. This is Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott, another slip-covered volume. This one is in great shape, and if I decide to go back to read Ivanhoe, which I think I did in high school, this is very easy to read. It's in great condition. It was published in 1941. There's Sir Walter Scott right there. But I love having these old books. Read this many years ago. I love having these old copies, these old collector copies. Let's see, what else can I show you? Here's another one, Mary Roberts Reinhardt, Miss Pinkerton, Adventures of a Nurse Detective. I think Reinhardt is a mystery writer. There she is on the back. so interesting, those old pictures. I don't know. Let's see. This one was published in 1914 originally. This one was copyrighted in 1959. What else can I show you? I have this copy of Dr. Zhivago by Boris Pasternak. Not a fairly plain edition, but that's okay. And this copy was published in 1957 by Pantheon. And Clara has plans to watch the movie. I would love to watch that. Dr. Zhivago.
Yeah.
Let's see what I'm just grabbing. This one I recently hauled from a library sale. This is Tom Jones by Henry Fielding, and this has amazing color illustrations. That's the illustration on the other side of the title page. And I can flip through the entire book and find those types of color illustrations. Unreal, just the artistry, and I mean throughout this whole book. This is a pretty small little book. It's pretty thick, so I'm not sure if I chose to read this, if I would be able to handle that font. It's not too bad, but because of the age of these books and the delicacy, I would probably find a good paperback copy of those to read. And this one I just finished in paperback. I read the Penguin copy, and this one is in a little bit of rough shape. It has pages falling out of it, and I don't remember. Let's see if I can find out. It doesn't have a date on it of when this volume was published. This is a Victorian novel that I just read, and it has that tissue paper in the front. This is an illustration of one of the scenes in William Makepeace Thackeray's Vanity Fair. This is a pretty plain volume, but here's the black and white illustration. Gorgeous illustration. And the title page. I mean, books aren't done like this anymore. They really aren't. And I don't think there's other illustrations in here, but it's a beautiful object, and we don't make books like this anymore. It's makes me sad, but that's okay. I just recently hauled this one. This is the Poems, Prose, and Plays of Pushkin, again with the slipcover. This I got from the one of the only used bookshops around me, but this was the one that closed recently, and it's a modern library edition with all of those writings and more right here. But it's a really, really great shape with the fun slipcover on it. Here's another one. This one is published by, can't see, doesn't say, let me see. This is a modern library. I love modern library books. No, this is Alfred A. Knopf from 1950. This is the Thomas Mann Reader. And selected, edited, and with introduction by Joseph Warner Angel. Translations by it looks like H.J. Lowe Porter. Really love that end paper, the Knopf end paper. And there he is on the back. A lot of older books also have the author photos on the back of them. And this one, I have a couple more. This one isn't that old, but I really loved it. This is Of Human Bondage by W. Somerset Maugham, a modern library edition. It would have had a dust jacket, but this one does not. Here's the stamp, the modern library stamp on it. And the gold on the edge. Hey, Claire, you want to deal with the ad? And there's the modern library end papers. Modern Library, New York. This particular edition is from 1942. This was originally copyrighted in 1915. And I think I only have one more. This is another Modern Library edition. And this is another compilation. It's Modern Library, USA, the 42nd Parallel, 1919, The Big Money by John Dos Passos. Modern Library, here's the stamp. I don't often buy the bind-ups of several of the novels, but I did for this one because it was a Modern Library edition. And this particular book is in great physical shape, so if I haven't read this one yet either, And the font is really big. So if I decide to read these one after the other, I would probably pick up this Modern Library edition. So that is it for me. That's my collection of antique books and really old books. I do have a few more out there somewhere in the world. And that is all I have to show you for today. Let me know if you really get into really old books like that and if you have a collection of them, dusty and musty and whatever they are. But one of the funny things is when I started finding these books on Etsy, and I don't even remember how I did that. I don't know if I looked into Google and it came onto an Etsy store. But I started looking at the book listings and I saw a lot of books being sold in lots of a certain color. I'm like, why are they selling all green books or why are they selling all red books? And it finally came to me that people will buy sets of books of a certain color for staging purposes. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold the phone. They're buying books of a certain color to stage and they're not actually buying them to read, and nor do they care what the titles are. They're buying them for the color or the condition or the publisher. People buy books just to stage. And I thought that's obscene. It's sacrilegious. I couldn't get my brain wrapped around that concept, but it happens. It does happen, people. So I was very disillusioned by that. But anyway, that's my antique book collection. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everybody. Clara says bye. Whoa!